Gonads are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brains.
All right, here we go.
I have to say, well done, Free. Well done. Well played, my adversary. Well played.
Fenix isn't gay, but if he was, he'd pick Fremo.
Oh yeah, he'd be living down there with you in the bunker, man. Woo!
Once you go free, you always do the Z.
Like one day of not going to Duncan, and you could get a controller, a new Xbox, possibly even a cord.
And now, the guys that went on a beer run 2 years ago.
Welcome to BGFG episode 317. I'm your host, Chris Fenix, and I am alone this week yet again. Fremo is Fremo is on assignment. I can't really say where right now. I can just tell you that we already have some money put aside for bail, just in case. I know it had to do with Woods. I know it had to do with one of the freedoms that was dictated to us by forefathers, I believe is how he said it. So we wish him the best, and we hope he comes back soon. So this week, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of things going on. As I've said before, BGFG, we like to poke fun, but we're not stupid either. We know that there's things going on, and if you're blind to it, you're an idiot. Just that simple. Changes are being made that should be made, and they should have been made for a long time. I hear a lot of different things, and again, I'm just going to touch on this quick. I hear a lot of different things about how, other people, other races get harassed and ridiculed and beat up by the police and shot at and all that stuff. Yep, that is true. But if you're that smart to look at statistics like you like to claim, then feel free to show me the statistics in the ratios and the numbers, the sheer numbers of the diversity in those beatings and those arrests and those things. Okay? Look into that before you start running your mouth. But again, BGFG, we're by generation for generation. So we're going to talk about the stuff. Try to get your mind off of that a little bit in your daily drive or your daily commute or wherever it is that you're listening to this wonderful information podcast. This show is total trash. Who am I kidding? Okay, let's get into this week's news because I might as well get into the trash heap first.
BGFG News. You heard it here third.
First up in this week's news is kind of an old story, but a new story at the same time. The COVID pandemic is not, it's better than it was, but things are starting to open up. The economy's starting to open up, which is what we should do anyway. I, in turn, am also going back to work. Not super happy about that because of, for different health reasons. I think companies need to keep that in check into who's living with their employees at home. You know, if you have an elderly couple, if your parents are living with you and you're taking care of your parents, then maybe you should rethink going back to work right away or take precautions. I mean, I'm going to take every precaution I could possibly do. But I still have to go back to work. I mean, it happens. And unfortunately, I'm sure the Apple appointments will rear their ugly heads as they always do. And I had a few questions. A couple of people texted me during the COVID lockdown and asked me about their phones because I guess I'm the one to call, which I don't mind. A couple of them asked me to get into their phone. They're like, oh, you're a geek. You can do that sort of stuff. Aren't you Apple certified? You can get into that. No. There's a reason why Apple products are that secure, especially their phones. Their iPhones are rock solid. So we talked previously in the shows about Apple being asked to unlock phones for people to get into phones for criminal activity and prosecution purposes. I agree with that. I think it should be done. I don't think Apple should shut the door completely on anybody, ever. I do want my device to be safe, and everybody should. The amount of information that we're putting onto these devices now and the things we're doing, from moving money in your bank account to putting in your passwords for your bank account to, searching things on there's a lot of privacy issues, pictures, notes you might take, business, pieces of business, corporate espionage can happen right then and there. It's something that can happen. So January, the FBI asked Apple to open up or unlock a Florida shooter, the guy that shot on the Florida military base. They asked to unlock his phone. Now, in May, Apple basically, what the mainstream news media portrayed was that the FBI went to Apple and said, "Can you unlock this phone? This guy's a terrorist, and he just shot up a bunch of people. So can you unlock this?" And Apple went, "No, we can't. Can't do that at all." That's what the mainstream media portrayed. And then in May, suddenly the FBI was able to get into the phone. We got into the phone, not a problem. Yeah, they cracked the phone using a third part. This is the best part. So they ended up getting into the phone. Now, the long and the short is Apple did not say no. What Apple did was, within hours of the shooting and within hours, they contacted, every person on there. They contacted. And when they, let me rewind again. When they contacted Apple, Apple said, yes, here's all the information. They gave them the iCloud, their backup, their contacts, messages, every single thing Apple had on their system. From this phone, multiple accounts, by the way, multiple iCloud accounts were connected to this phone, gave them, the FBI, everything that they had. All of a sudden, the Attorney General, William Barr, comes out and says that Apple was effectively no help at all to get into this phone. And Apple issued a statement and turned around and said, look, your requests were handled within hours, providing stored data, everything else, but we're not giving you a backdoor access. What essentially the bottom line is, and this is why we tell our listeners all the time to look at the news, to read the news, read beyond the news, read news from other parts of the world about the topic you're looking for in this country, because you're going to get a different perspective and usually more truthful perspective. So what actually happened was, like I said before, Apple gave them all of that stuff. And in the statement, they also said, look, number one, you turn around and broke a policy that we utilize here in this government and in this country, and you cracked this phone illegally to get into this phone. For what reason, we don't know, because we gave you all the information. And like they said, creating a back door at any time ever leads to the lack of security. And for the betterment of all of their customers, they don't want that to happen. Do you have to contact Apple to get something? Does Apple have the source for it? Yes, they do. And if I know Apple and I'm certified, so I know their policies and procedures, it is locked down. There's probably maybe one or two people in that entire company that have that level and that access to be able to unlock a phone completely or get information like that. It's just, it doesn't happen. And that creates a very locked down service. The FBI cracked the phone. Apple gave them everything they wanted. They want a backdoor. One person, just think about that. Millions of iPhones out there, completely locked down. Nobody can access them. They're locked. One person from one branch of government that has it. It could be Podoma Police Department with like 5 people in there. But that fifth person, I don't know, he goes to the casino and he's got a gambling problem, or he's got a drug problem, or he's really paranoid and wants to know if his wife has cheated on him. One person takes that code, doesn't know any better, and believe you me, if you're watching the show or listening to the show, you know people that don't know enough about technology, or they know too much about tech. They do enough to harm themselves. These are the people that can't get this. These are the people that leave it on their desktop, and then their computer is accessible everywhere, and they take it into Geek Squad, and they take it into Staples, and to do repairs, and this software is just sitting there. Or you get the person that wants to be, I got the crack. I get the best crack ever. Look what I got. And post it online. The moment it gets online, it's gone forever. That phone will never, ever, ever, ever be secure again, because anybody will get into it. You're going to have criminal organizations that are going to pay massive amounts of money to get into there, because then all they need is somebody's phone number or email address that they think might be doing them wrong, and they have complete access to everything they've ever done on their phone. That's very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. Now, at the same time, there's even a case where Senator Richard Burr, he's the chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee. This guy, again, same process. FBI contacted him. Apple provided them with all the information that they would ever possibly want. And sure enough, this senator dumped between $1.3 and $1.6 million in stocks right before the COVID crisis pandemic happened. Now, you might be wondering what the hell is the significance of that. Okay. You cannot, it's called inside trading. You cannot dump stocks suddenly if you know of a problem before the public does. For instance, if you work at, American Tourister, and you know that you just bumped into the VP and he looks all stressed and you're like, hey Bob, what's going on? And he goes, we're gonna announce today, we're gonna do the final meeting for the closure of the whole entire company. We're just gonna close it up. That's it. Try to keep it to yourself. And then this guy goes back to his cubicle and goes, fuck that. I'm actually gonna dump all my stocks and make a shit ton of money. That's illegal. You can't do that. The public has to know first. Now, if the public knows and he just went, oh my God, then that's fine. And a lot of people do that. They'll wait till the public announcement. I don't know if there's a statute of limitations for that. Like you got to wait an hour or something. But I know as soon as if I was in that case, as soon as I knew that it went public to whatever media source was there, I'm actually going to dump my stocks and try to, recover from this. But you can't do that ahead of time. And they did know a lot. And they had a closed-door meeting onto the pandemic and the closing down of things, and they immediately went back to their offices and sold their stocks. The public didn't even know about any sort of shutdown yet. You can't do that. And security's important for those reasons. Now, granted, Apple did help in both cases, not exactly the way they wanted to, but they helped just the same. And security can get out of control, too. Apple, I think, is doing a great job of it, keeping it just on the iOS devices. They're not trying to push their policies anywhere else. They'll help out when they need to. Yet again, you get situations like, I don't know if you've ever been at a birthday party or anything. I used to work with a couple of people that were very adamant about not having their children in any pictures anywhere. And they would even go as far as saying, like, they would contact a school department or a newspaper if they posted pictures of something and their kid was in it. They would ask them to take it down. And that's something that I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. I understand the reasoning behind it. I don't know if I agree with it. Have you ever had that happen? Contact us at our email address and let me know if that has ever happened to you, where you've been somewhere and you've taken pictures. I'm thinking more of like a birthday party. Like, how are you going to stop this? If you want to be that secure, how are you going to stop somebody from taking a picture? If you invite their child to a birthday party and the children are all around the cake and you snap that picture and the child just happens to be next to your child, I'm not going to deny, a picture of my child at an event for him because your child happens to be next to it having a good time and oblivious to why he can't have his picture taken. That doesn't make any sense. In fact, there's a lady in Europe. I think it's Europe. I posted in the show notes that she's being sued by her daughter-in-law because she posted pictures of her grandchildren on Facebook. She's being sued, and when she got to the GDPR, they said, "Look, even we can't. It's kind of like you can't even explain it like that. This is a new age." So, essentially, think of it like this: the birthday issue, and you go home, you post your pictures on Facebook. Now, if you have these pictures and you're posting them for any reason, anywhere, live, that person has the right to take them down. That's their right. But what happens when it goes to social media or it becomes your picture or it's your camera, your role, your party, things like that? That's where this governing body said that, especially with platforms, and they quoted this, especially with platforms like Facebook, there's no way to stop the place photos from being distributed. There isn't. I cannot stress this to you enough. This is why Fremo and I don't really do social media. I like Twitter. Fremo hates it. I don't mind Twitter, but these bigger social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, man, they're just a cesspool because everybody can share everything anytime. Very few people understand the security features that are built into these things. Then the security features are usually pointless, especially if they're, let's just say, a Facebook-owned company. It's been proven time and time again that the security features aren't working. They're basically fake. They say that they're off, but they're not. They're still transmitting data. It's been proven. Facebook pays the $1 million fine and moves along. That's the way they do it. So if you want to be secure in this day and age, you have to allow some sort of transparency. You have to understand that in this day and age, as much as my generation and the generation before me are adamant about not sharing everything, and I agree, personal issues should be shared. But a picture, know your security settings on your social media to prevent people that aren't your friends or prevent friends from sharing the picture. But realize that you're going to be out there. It's going to happen. It just is. You can try as much as you want, but it's going to be out there. It's a different time. You know, back in the day, you didn't have to worry about that. Nobody was snapping your picture randomly unless they were at a party or an event and you knew that they would have a camera. You didn't expect that when you were walking into the bathroom at your local Dunkin' Donuts that somebody be snapping a picture of you going in or coming out. You didn't think that because, well, nobody carried around a camera like that 24/7, really. So it's a lot different. Oh, that is stressful. News is stressful sometimes. Let's get into this week's song. So this week's song is kind of old, but I thought it was very appropriate for today or now. And the song is by Ahmed. It's called Back in the Day. And I think everybody can relate to this song in one way, shape, or form. And the reason why is because there's always segments in there that work. Now, even whether it's the people that grew up in low-income housing, people that grew up in Section 8, people that grew up in lower middle class, let me tell you something. I mean, I know the other ones aren't a joke, but if you're the type of person that sits there and goes, oh, lower middle class, you had a house and everything. Yeah, there's the thing called being house poor, you know, and a lot of families growing up in the suburbs, I don't care what color you were, a lot of families were house poor. You didn't have a lot. So this song relates to a lot of that. And with all the tension growing, I think it's important that we remember where we came from, especially our generation, because we lived through a lot of this, and we need to express that to the next generation, the younger generation. They're misconstrued on a lot of things because a lot of my generation is house poor, and we didn't have a lot of time to spend with the kids. We do what they can. That's where you get the latchkey kids and house key kids. This song really reflects a lot of that, and hopefully we can just kind of ease up a little bit, at least for right now. In your ride, you listen to the podcast, enjoy the song, listen to the words, and just things are going to get better. They have to.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was just a little nigga, I looked up to my bigger bro, begged if I could kick it. So when he went out with girls, I could go tagging along, nagging. If she had a sis, maybe could mac a baby hood rat. Y'all remember way back then when it was 1985, all the way live. I think I was about 10. One of those happy little niggas singing the blues that be always trying to bag with the shag and karate shit, saying yo mama black, his mama this, his mama that. Then he get mad and wanna scrap. We stay mad about 10 minutes, then it's like back on the bike to play hide and go get it with the younger hoes by the bungalows. Then switch to playing ding dong ditch when that gets old and too cold to hack it. Threw on a bomber jacket. You could tell the ballers cause they fell wearing gazelles. If they really had money raised, we sport knee K's. And all the girls had they Turkish link. If it broke, then they made earrings to it, like they meant to do it. But sometimes I still sit and reminisce, then think about the years I was raised. Back in the day. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid. And everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. What? Back in the days when. I'm still back in the days, but now the year is 87, 88. That's when my crew and I were in junior high in 7th grade. I hated school and shit had blown up. No doubt I couldn't wait to get out and be a grown up. But let me finish this, reminiscing and telling about when girls were spelling tight corduroys like for the boys, basket weaves, Nike Cortez and footsie socks, and eating pickles with Tootsie Pops, and it don't stop. I'm glad, cause when JJ Fad did Supersonic, it was kinda like a sport to wear biker shorts or to wear jeans, and it seemed like the masses of hoochies had poison airbrushed on their asses. Dudes had on Nike suits and the Pumas with the fat laces, cause it was either that or K-Swiss. I miss those days, and so I pout like a grown jerk, wishing all I had to do now was finish homework. It's true, you don't realize really what you got till it's gone, and I'm not gonna sing another sad song, but sometimes I do sit and reminisce, then think about the years I was raised back in the day. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore, but some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore, but some days I sit and wish I was a kid. And everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. What? Back in the days when. Back in the day. Well, it's the niggero. I figure that now I'm all grown up because I'm 18 years old, and guess you could say I'm holding down a steady job and crew steady mobbing, you steady bobbing your head, and I paid, so I got it made, but didn't always have clout. Used to live in South Central LA, that's where I stayed and figured a way out. I gave it all I had, so for what it's worth, I went from rags to riches, which is a drag, but now I'm first. So hard in the nose, this is on our way up. Yeah, we said that we was gonna make it since a kid, and we finally did, but sometimes I still sit and reminisce, then think about the years I was raised back in the day. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore, but some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore, but some days I sit and wish I was a kid. And everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. What? Back in the days when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. What? Back in the days when. Back in the day. And everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. What?
Back in the day, Ahmed. Great song, old song, but I truly feel that everybody can relate to some parts of that song. I remember putting fat laces. I remember walking, 16 blocks, maybe. Jeez, I have no idea. It was a hike, man. Across town to a small shoe store because I saved up money. Scraped together some money. I think I sold bike parts to get fat laces for my shoes so I could be a little bit cooler at school. It's back in the day was a better time, but it's kind of no different from today. The only difference being is that we have more ways to vocalize and express ourselves, and I think that's important, and we need to continue to do that peacefully. We need to continue to do that on every level. Now, we're in the second half of the show, and as many of you regulars know, the second half of the show is a little bit more fun. Also, there's a lot more swearing that goes on, so if you have little kids listening, this might not be the time to have them listen. Have them turn away. So let's get into this week's Stick Style.
Gaming.
So, Stick Style is our gaming show / podcast / piece / I don't know. It's a group of us that all get together in our age group, Generation X. If you are, find one of us online, befriend us, and join the clan, group, squad, whatever you want to call it. We do another show, Stick Style, on Twitch and on Mixer. and that's our gaming show. I try to mix it up and do a little bit of something new as much as we can. Usually you can watch me falling asleep late at night. Right in front of it. So first up in this week's Stick Style, I know a lot of people have been talking about what to do with the kids. Now the school's essentially over. Most kids didn't even end up going back to physical school, and they stayed home. And a lot of people played board games and card games. A lot more did not. But you had to try to pull away the kids from the computers every once in a while. So there was a lot of board games, Uno. There was a game with memes. I can't remember the name of it. Meme this, friend the meme. I don't know what the hell it was. But it was all pictures of memes that we've seen online 1,000 times, and you got to try to find the best movie quote for that scene. It's fun. It's entertaining. But keeping kids entertained is not easy. Card games and things we grew up on, they get bored with real quick. Unfortunately, it's the generation. The generation before us, our parents wanted us to sit still every 5 seconds, and we didn't want to. Granted, no kid wants to. But even more so now. I mean, you think that we watched cartoons, a half an hour was way too short for us. Now they're doing cartoons like 15, 20 minutes, if that, with commercials. So kids have a shorter attention span, plus YouTube. They're watching YouTube videos and TikToks and all sorts of shit that's small, condensed programming. So board games became a lot more. Something with a tactile feel, maybe some haptic feedback, and kids will enjoy it. Kids will want to do that, and you can do it together with them. One of the last ones, as we wind down the pandemic and the staying-at-home orders, and kids are going to be free this summer, you're going to want them to stay in on the hotter days, and if we have an increase in the pandemic, and just to be safe, board games are always fun. I always recommended Uno, not necessarily a board game, but it's there. There's so many different games, just stupid $5-10 games, man. Like Hungry Hippos. It might sound stupid, but it's kind of fun. Anything they can put their hands on, touch, and do, and feel accomplished, especially when they beat mom and dad. One of those games is called Clask, with a K, Klask, Clask. I put a link in the show notes. This is a very interesting game. I think it's very cool. Those of us in New England will remember a term called knock hockey. I think other people call it tabletop hockey. Essentially a large board. It was large, with a hole on either end, with a diamond shape in front of the hole, and a puck, a wooden puck. That's all it was, and you just used a stick about 4 inches long or so, 4 or 5 inches long, a stick, and you would use that stick to take one shot and whip it and try to get it into that hole, even though there's a stopper in front of us. You have to use bank shots and stuff. And summer camps throughout New England use that all the time. This is like another take on it. It's like that, but it's with magnets. So it's easier for you to click on the link and look at it when you get, when you're not listening to the podcast. Or you can pause the podcast and go look. But it's about a foot by a foot, about a foot and a half board that's up on 4 legs, kind of in the center. And it stays, it bounces. Essentially what you do is you put your hand underneath with a magnet. On the top is a pin, what looks like a pin for bowling. Similar, but a lot thinner. And you have a magnet, and you have to move that around. That's how you're hitting the ball or the marble that's on the table. It's very tricky, and there's a lot of these little. There's not a lot of rules. There's maybe 5-6 rules, and that's it. And it's really simple, and it's really cool. Give it a look. I just think I love innovative, fun games to play with the family, and this is a very good one to do. Now, the next piece of business in this show is going to be Kingdoms of Amalur. This is a thorn in my side, and I really wish Fremo was here this week, because this is something that he teases me about relentlessly. In 2012, Curt Schilling, Boston Red Sox baseball pitcher, legend, loves gaming. So much so that he started a gaming studio called 38 Studios. I mean, this is like the way that you see some wrestlers playing games and NBA players playing video games. That's the way he was doing it way before anybody else was. Curt Schilling was the shit. And he was damn good, too. So he started 38 Studios. The home base of 38 Studios was Rhode Island, where I live, which I thought was awesome. It was the coolest shit, man. It was like, we have a studio right here. I envisioned that one day I would work there in some sort of capacity. Like, it was just cool. So coming out with this game was exciting for everybody. So 38 Studios gets these crazy loans from the state of Rhode Island. I don't know what transpired. I think there was a lot of issues going on. I think there was a lot of people that were double speaking, a lot of people that were promising, a lot of people that were glad handing. There was a lot of friggin' issues with that deal as it went through. Because again, it's in my state and it's a tiny ass state. So that was the biggest news for a while. So every single thing that happened in court, we got to hear about. I mean, word for word. So it was really a touch and go. What really struck a lot of us, and I truly feel bad, and I want to go on record saying that again, because I know I said it in 2012, we were on air during that time, was that Kurt Schilling took full responsibility for everything. He had absolutely zero to do with anything. He was a gamer that had enough money to create a gaming studio, a developing studio, tried to hire the right people who fucked them over. That's essentially what happened. And he still took responsibility. Dude wiped out his entire baseball fortune. The man's going to be in the Hall of Fame if he, I don't even know. I don't follow baseball that much anymore. I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame or he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's eventually going to be in the Hall of Fame if he's not in there already. And he used his entire fortune on this. He lost his shirt. Literally. And the man still stays humble, still doesn't really speak that badly. As far as I know, he's still a gamer. The game itself, Kingdoms of Amalur, was phenomenal. What a great game. It was, it's hard to explain. Very similar to Elder Scrolls. I wouldn't say a Skyrim. It was fun. It was just really fun. And I'm not saying that just because it was a hometown studio. I'm saying that because it was a fun game. It was a good game. I felt obliged to try it out because it was a home state studio. I also felt obliged to give it a good review. But we are notorious. Freemo, Z, and myself are notorious for calling out people on a game. If a game's shit, no matter how much you hyped it. For instance, Freemo and I love Gears of War. I think it's a great game. It's a great buddy game. Play Horde. That's all you need to do. It's Gears Tactics is I don't think very good. I think for what it is, it's damn good. I think for that franchise, not good at all in any way. It doesn't help that franchise in any way. Kingdoms of Amalur was very good at what it was. But now they're going to be doing it again. They're going to remaster it. So it turns out THQ Nordic, I love THQ, love them. They announced that they're remastering the whole game. Not just visuals, but the little bugs that were in it and things like that. I still have my Kingdoms game somewhere in this house, in this studio, is the game. It's probably in a cupboard somewhere. It is that game. I'm sure of it. THQ Nordic announced that they're going to remaster the game. They're going to release it. It's going to be out real soon. $40 for the game, which I think is a damn good price. Give it a try. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And the history behind it is even more intriguing. You can even get a collector's edition with a statue for $100. That's a deal. The statue's really cool. Games, I have to say, I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I'd have to look at the website. If you go to bgfgonline.com, I'm sure that somewhere in there, maybe under the stick style heading, is the review that I did for it. Really good game. It's got some issues, but really a good game. Now, we have a few other things to discuss today, which are important. And I know you know the elephant in the room just happens to be, a certain game company. But one of the things I definitely wanted to discuss was I stumbled across an article that said that the original Xbox more or less was crap, and that the main topic was what the hell was it? Things fans want to forget, or something like that. Yeah, things that everyone would want to forget from the original Xbox. And I thought this was just absolute, utter Bullshit.
Bullshit.
None of this shit is legit in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to take it from 10 to 1. And gosh, I will absolutely revisit this when Freemo comes back from assignment. So if your first thing, number 10, fewer features than Xbox Live. I want to snap you younger generation into shape here. Whether you like it or not, whether you've been accustomed to it or not, the current Xbox menu system, and PlayStation for that matter, PlayStation's a little bit better, but the current Xbox menu system is ridiculously complicated to navigate quickly. Okay? How this means is that the features that you have in there, all these bullshit features, should be a sidebar somewhere I can use when I'm not friggin' gaming. Like a separate app entirely. I'm gaming. I want to deal with gaming shit. I don't want to know what's up to date. I don't want to know what your live league is doing. I don't give a fuck about any of that. I want to play my game and hang out with my friends online. That's it. Fewer features on Xbox Live is number 10. What features exactly do you need on Live? Think about this for a second. You turn on that machine, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, to play a game and entertain yourself or lose yourself in a game for whatever reason. That's your goal. Some of us like to also contact a friend or two, maybe get a message from a friend that I know from overseas, or a new person I met from the other side of the country that I game with on occasions that plays the same game and he's a good teammate. I don't need to know everything this dude's played for the last 15 years. And I don't need a snapshot of an update coming up and down my screen of what achievements he's gotten recently. Kudos to you. I think that's great. If I want to, I'll go to his friend's account. I'll look at his games. I'll click on the game. I'll click on the achievement. I'll go, oh, wow, I don't have that one. Maybe he can help me out. I don't need to see it blaring in my face. I don't need it on a menu. I don't. It's already complicated enough. Number 9. Again, back to the fewer features on Xbox Live. I don't need all those features. I need my friends list. I need a voice chat, friends list, and a voice. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, maybe a party chat. Let's go with that. Number 9, cross-platform play. Forget about it. It's the original Xbox, you shithead. What cross-play would you like? The internet was barely accessible at that point. And what sort of crossplay did you want? Shadowrun was there. Shadowrun had crossplay. And I don't even remember if that was a 360 or an original Xbox. 360. But Shadowrun was one of the first ones to do that on Xbox. And you want them to do the original Xbox? They barely get that thing out of the gate. Crossplay. You got to be out of your mind. Crossplay. What the hell are you doing? Number 8, small hard drive. No shit. Of course I had a small hard drive. What the hell did you expect? Bill Gates once said that you should never need more than, 3 megabytes of RAM? 16 megabytes of RAM? Megabytes, I said. Not gigabytes, megabytes. Never. Okay? Things doubled. Of course I had a small hard drive. It was big enough for us then. A limited selection, number 7, a limited selection of widescreen games. No shit. Most people didn't and couldn't afford a widescreen TV at the time. That wasn't the only TV you can buy. You could still go to the store. You still were rocking your older TV. We're not all loaded. TVs weren't cheap. The hell's wrong with you? Number 6, digital games were practically unheard of. The internet is literally in its infancy. What the did you expect to happen? Sega Saturn, I used to be able to plug into a phone line, and to try to play a game or even download a skin for something would take you forever. You know what? Let me put it even simpler. A nudie picture, not movie, picture, a nudie picture. You clicked on it, maybe not in that exact time, but it would take a little bit of time for it to download. You know, there was no Pornhub, there was no Movie Hub, there was no Netflix, there was no Hulu. You weren't streaming shit like that. How do you expect to get a digital game especially with even if you didn't talk about the current size of like 96 gigabytes, even if you talked to the shit way before where it might have been 4 or 5 on a DVD, even that shit, 4 gigabytes over a dial-up, dumbass. Number 5, bulky controller, aka the Duke controller. Almost everybody that's played with it loves it. It's a good size for an adult. Okay, good size. When you're using both the joysticks on the PlayStation controller, your thumbs can touch each other. It happens. On the Xbox controller, less, but the Xbox controller is smaller. It's small. I mean, I have big hands. A lot of people have big, but it's small nonetheless. The Duke controller is a great size controller that you can grab. It feels like a controller. Ugh. Number 4, no Wi-Fi. No shit, dumbass. There wasn't, your Wi-Fi would lucky, that was wireless G, I think, at that time. Maybe B. That thing was lucky to get across your fucking bedroom. What the hell did you want it to do? Wireless gaming? Are you out of your mind? Number 3, Xbox Live community was disconnected. No, it was not. I don't need to see every single thing that every single person on my friends list is doing. I don't need to see exactly where they live. I don't need to see their real name, really, unless they shared it with me personally. I don't need to see any of that shit. You guys literally don't need that. Just enjoy the fucking platform and the friggin' game. You can go into your Xbox. You can go into your friends list, and in the later versions of the Xbox Live, not the original, but then the 360 somewhat, you could see images, the what we call the avatars now. You could see the avatar. That was it. If they looked like they were sleeping, then they weren't online. If they were awake, then they were online. But here's the best part. Above their fucking head, first they were ordered online and offline, but then above their head, they would have an icon. That's it. That's what the... I click on their name. It says chat, send message, invite to game, invite to chat. I'm sorry, invite to chat, invite to game. I can't remember. There's only like 4. That's it. That is it. When you started a chat with him, would you like to private or group? That was it. If it was group, anybody could enter from your friends list. That's it. I don't know why everybody wants to make it so complicated. And this, you're saying these features suck. Number 2, dull color. No shit, dumbass. There was no HD. Number 1, easily hacked. You're damn right it was. It was a 786 processor motherboard in there. It was a standard hard drive with a standard disk drive. All they did was create a custom piece of software that kind of locked everything else out. There was 2 games, Mech Assault and one other one. If you put it in and did a little bit of voodoo, you can get into the Linux operating system that was built into those motherboards, and you could format it. A lot of us formatted those original Xboxes to one of the first iterations of the Xbox Media Center, XBMC, which allowed us to save games, put additional storage. I know very few people at that time that would load that on there for malicious purposes. They loaded it on there to basically play all their audio, stream it to their network in their house, just stuff like that. And so what if it was easily hacked? There wasn't anybody outside hacking it. What the fuck are you worried about? Easily hacked. Of course it was. There was all sorts of shit you could do. There was entire new interfaces. Yes, you could play bootlegged games. Why bother? You could put emulators on there when emulators were first coming out. You could put an emulator. Now kids go, oh, emulators. What is that? Oh, that's that thing that you bought, that little ROM that software that you downloaded. Oh, that ROM. Yeah, it's a ROM that's based on. Again, you could utilize that with the original Xbox. All right, so I digress. I'm coming down off the stoop now. But the other elephant in the room is the PlayStation 5 that was announced. So we finally get to see the PlayStation 5. I am not that machine is hideous. I tell you right now, unless they come out with a custom version of it, like a limited edition version, because because I am an addict with limited editions. Myself and my wife love our limited edition consoles, from God of War to Gears of War to, oh my gosh, what other was the blue 500 million PlayStation, R2D2 Xbox. There's just good quality ones we really like. And unless they come out with one like that, or they give a black one, because I think the PlayStation should be black, I don't see myself getting this right yet. So the hardware inside is all AMD, and it's lightning fast, which is awesome. It is really good. People that have actually used it and demoed it said that it is double the speeds of the Xbox in load times. They don't know how they're doing it, but the load times are almost non-existent. And we've heard that before, and we've always seen games that have pushed that limit where there is a load time when you're going from one screen to another, or they try to mask it as something else, like a cutscene, but it's still there. This apparently doesn't do that. But have you seen it? That shit's ugly. It is ugly. If you put an eyeball on top, it looks like an eye of Sauron. It's ugly. But my bigger problem is that the accessories that they put with it are garbage. So the headphones, first and foremost, they call them 3D headphones. They're supposed to have haptic feedback or some shit. The headphones are essentially their platinum headphones with a white stripe. There's nothing special that I see about them. It's the same headphone with a slightly different design. Kind of like their controller. Same controller with a slightly different design. Oh, there's extra haptic feedback. Great. Oh, there's these extra. No, but it's still the same. You're not groundbreaking anything. In fact, when the PlayStation 3 was out and you're going to come out to the PlayStation 4, there was speculation that the new controller was going to look like a Batarang. Very dramatic version of what we see today. So they haven't really been, I think they've been working more on hardware, which is cool by me. That's the way to go anyway. But you got to make it kind of look good. The dual charger for the controllers, it's great that you're going to have one right away that matches everything else, but you're not reinventing the wheel there either. Your camera looks like shit, okay? It looks like a clamshell for some ungodly reason. Again, everything's white. You put that shit up on the top of your TV, everybody's going to notice it. And don't tell me how special this fucking camera is, okay? I went onto eBay and I bought two 1080p webcams for the kids for the school, and it was like $50. I mean, you're not reinventing the wheel here. It doesn't do motion tracking or anything. What did surprise me was that there's not even a mention about their VR. It's obviously there because one of their featured titles is that little VR dude, but they didn't even mention the VR. So I'm assuming they're coming out with some sort of new headset. I would hope. Their headset's good, but there's a few things you can improve upon. Like, give me a way to change out the insides, like the lens or the cushion or the rubber. Give me a way to replace that easily. That would help. But they didn't mention the VR really at all. They did say that they're still into the VR game, into that ecosystem, but they didn't announce any hardware for it, which is weird. And there's not going to be, like I said before, my wife and I are huge into collecting the limited edition stuff, especially consoles. It's fun and it's rewarding because I think they look very, very cool. But they have to be made quality. Don't just put a piece of tape over that shit. Man, make it real. Like the R2D2 one is like cut. The the Gears of War one, cut. Now PlayStation hasn't done any of those like that. But theirs are still cool. The way they've been doing the few that they've done is very, very cool, I think. But as a collector, I have to admit that, Japan does that. Japan will do that shit to you, man. They come out with they want to one-up you a little bit more. Bandai Namco just announced a collector's edition for a game called Captain Tsubasa, I believe it's pronounced. Captain Tsubasa Rise of New Champions. This is apparently a soccer game. This is a collector's edition for the soccer game. Here's what you get. You get a real jersey. Real jersey, I said. Soccer jersey. You get a full game uniform set. Specialty to this set only. A full season pass uniform set in the game. And this consists of shorts, socks, shirt, ball, shoes, all custom colored, custom whatever, and all coordinated. You get 9 downloadable characters. You get the entire season pass. You get a set of rainbow laminated trading cards for the game. You get 2 actual patches that you could like sew on shit. You get 2 patches. You get the steel book. You get a 12-inch statue. Okay, 12-inch statue. I mean, that is like, I've seen those sets go for like $300-$400 for that type of stuff. That's a lot of shit to get in a collector's. Oh wait, there's one more thing. You also get an entire foosball table based on the game, full-size foosball table based on the game. Now this, my friend, is a collector's set. I don't know what you're going to do with this collector's set, but that is a hell of a collector's set. This rings in at a whopping $2,200 for that set. It's a huge set. But, I mean, where else are you going to get all that shit? I mean, you're getting a real jersey. You're getting a full uniform set in the game, which has 5 or 6 different pieces to it, which gamers will tell you that that's usually a big deal. Look at Destiny 2, look at a bunch of other games. You get full season pass uniform sets, which is like 4 to 6 of them, I believe. 9 downloadable characters. There's a lot. And a foosball table. It's crazy. Speaking of crazy, let's get into Subtopia Null. This is something new that Fremo and I have been talking about. And we give people little teases every once in a while. This is eventually going to be a full show that we're going to be doing. How's the best to explain Subtopia Null? Subtopia Null asks questions that mainstream media, archaeologists, and scientists either won't ask or avoid to the best of their ability. We don't sit there and tell you that, you know, we don't do Alex Jones or any of those guys and go crazy and tell you to wear a tinfoil hat or anything. It's just I'll give you an example. For Subtopia Null, a constant question is, in Egypt, how did they move those stones? And you can pick a couple of different places in Egypt, but how did they move those stones that are that big? We teach the kids that they put them on rollers and pull them up, and it takes 10,000 men. That can't happen. Number one, under that weight, the branches and the trees, after maybe 4 or 5 blocks, would just crumble. Number two, you're in the middle of the fucking desert. Where the hell are you getting all these trees from? These are the questions that we ask in Subtopia Null. You go find your own answers. If you believe in the ancient alien theory, awesome. If you believe in the Darwin theory, awesome. If you believe in, I don't know, a missing chapter in our history during the Dark Ages, I don't know. But that we just point the questions. One of the things I wanted to bring up this week was space. What the fuck is going on in space? I don't know what the hell's going on. Something's going on in space, and it's starting to freak me out a little bit. This time it's the moon. So there's a lot of things going on with the moon. There's, and I get that a lot when I start talking about this sort of stuff is, oh, you don't think we landed on the moon, do you? No, we absolutely landed on the moon. And we didn't fake that shit. Did we doctor some photographs? Maybe. That's possible. But did we land on the moon? Oh, hell yeah, we landed on the moon. We definitely landed on the moon. So there's several things that are problematic with the moon landing. There's people that will talk about time that's missing on the audio of the moon landing. There's people that talk about the fact that when one of the booster rockets that were as we took off from the moon to come back to Earth, one of the booster rockets was ejected from the capsule, and when it landed, it echoed, like bonged. When they went up the second time, or when they went up after that, they carried a bigger rocket for the sheer purpose, or a big, heavier weighted rocket, for the sheer purpose of making it crash onto the lunar surface and see if they get that sound again, which they did even louder. So for some reason the moon is hollow, or making a hollow bell type tone. Now, we did like 9 missions to the moon, and then we stopped. Like in 1972, we just stopped. Nobody went to the moon at all. On a side note, if you watch Space Force on Netflix with Steve Carell, it's awesome how they attack all of this stuff and they mix a lot of real facts with conspiracy theories, and nobody could do it better. I don't think anybody could do that show better than Steve Carell and John Malkovich. Those two, I think they're brilliant together right now. I really do. I think they're brilliant. So we talk a lot about little things like, why do we never go back to the moon? How is the moon even there? The odds of the moon being in our orbit is so unbelievably slim to have a body that size. And mind you, it's the exact same size as the sun. That's just weird, man. Look at the other satellites or moons around other planets in this solar system. They're nowhere near the same size as the planet they're around, orbiting. This moon somehow is. Not to mention, because of the way it spins and where it spins, you can't see one side of the moon ever at all. The dark side of the moon. That's a legit thing. It's not just a Pink Floyd song. You cannot see one side of the moon. The odds of all of these things happening with one celestial body is astronomical. It doesn't happen. It's simply not possible. So why is there sudden interest in the moon all of a sudden? So you got this show coming out, and I always think it's ironic that Hollywood somehow has a show. I'm not saying creators or showrunners or anything else, but somehow things get greenlit that always seem to touch upon a little bit of reality right at that time, which I think is very cool. Stargate did it. Stargate SG-1 did it. There's a lot of TV shows that do it. So a lot of sci-fi does it, almost like predicting the future. The whole idea of this show, Space Force on Netflix, the idea that Trump suddenly wants to reinvest into space and saying things like we're going to be in space in 2 years. We have a Space Force military. We have leaked documents from the 90s. I believe it's the 90s. Leaked documents that state that we already have established a base on the moon, that we already have contacted aliens, that we already have several ships. I don't know if any of this is true. I'm not an astronomer. I don't know, but I do know that there's some weird things going on. The fact that Trump explained that is number one. Number two is that he just added another $25.2 million to NASA's budget, or put in for that, which is a 12% increase from before. And most of that, I mean, he said he's dropping $3.4 million just for a lunar vehicle, a specialized lunar vehicle. What do you mean specialized lunar vehicle? The last one was pretty much a buggy that you sat in. It's the lunar atmosphere, and you're wearing a spacesuit. So what specialized vehicle does he need? And then I noticed also that in what he said something quick that's going to the gateway that's the orbiting space station around the moon. What orbiting station around the moon? I don't know of anyone called Gateway, so where are you coming up with this one? Because ISS is up there, and that one took forever, and they're still building it, and it's still there. And I don't understand how all this is happening so quickly, or why it's happening so quickly, I think is the bigger question. I mean, you need a huge amount of training to go into space. And suddenly, within 2 years, we're going to have a bunch of people going up there, and we're going to have builders and construction, and it's just weird. You know, NASA used to keep secrets all the time. That's what they did. NASA kept secrets. They don't want anybody else getting into space, or they don't want the wrong idea to come out, or to realize how many times they failed before they found the proper solution, or how hard thing is. But now you get things like SpaceX run by Elon Musk that just doesn't give a shit. They're like, yeah, here's a simulator app that goes on your phone. That's exactly what the guys are using to log in or to get our docking, our SpaceX to dock. And it's true. They're like, fuck it, just fly on up, use the app, you'll get there. It's really getting to that point. I mean, there's an app that this little like app program that they're using to dock to the space station now from SpaceX launches is literally there's a picture in the show notes. It's like a video game. It's like docking a video game ship. It's insane. It's intense. I just think something else is going on up there. I do. So before I cut out today, I just wanted to bring up one Facebook story. You didn't think I was going to get this Facebook story in, did you? Oh, the iron. So the Facebook story that I have for more hatred is just wanted to also let you know that the one of the engineers publicly quit over Zuckerberg's inability to basically do anything against the president or anything else. He's all about free speech, but when it comes to censoring other people, they'll pull shit off real quick. But censoring somebody like the president, even the president, you don't do. So the president posted something. I don't remember what it was, but it was a Trump thing. It was something about rioting guns. So if you riot, that's when the guns come out or something like that. It was really another asinine thing that he posts. And he just picks and chooses what he wants to. Zuckerberg picks and chooses what he wants to censor and not. You can't do that. Either you completely censor shit or you don't. Look, nobody likes. I don't even know if the Ku Klux Klan is even around anymore. But nobody likes the Ku Klux Klan. Nobody likes Nazi sympathizers or anything like that. But according to our laws, with free speech, they have a right to free speech. You don't have to like what they say, but they have a right to say it. And that is very, very important that people are forgetting right now. People are forgetting that. You have a right to free speech. You can't give up that right. And unfortunately, violence is the wrong way to deal with it. It's just the wrong way. And, Facebook also agreed to pay in a quiet little courthouse somewhere. Facebook agreed to pay $52 million to current and former Facebook moderators for PTSD. It tells you the kind of shit that's on social media. I'm not trying to be a curmudgeon. I'm just saying that this is not something that you kind of want to get behind. It's shit that creates violence and promotes darkness. Shouldn't be something that you're into. Shouldn't be something that you want to see. It shouldn't be something that you want to hear. Oh, I can turn those people off. I can not look. You're still scrolling, looking at all sorts of things. You at least read the headline. You're giving it some sort of traction. Don't. Kind of like I said last week. If you're so concerned about racists and what you can do, don't be a racist. And when you're not being a racist and you see somebody that is, remind them not to be a racist too. It's literally that simple. Speak up. You have the freedom of speech and use it. That's it for this week. 10's down. Show's over.
So you can find more of this garbage at bgfgonline.com. You can also send us an email with your questions or suggestions at bgfgshow@gmail.com. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, Podcast, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.